Welcome to Robots vs. Vampires, the show where sci-fi and fantasy collide, sometimes in the most unexpected ways. I'm Adrian Smith, and I'll be your guide.
And I'm Julia Jones, ready to unpack the science behind these epic tales.
Yeah, so get ready for a wild ride, because today we're diving into a story set in a fog-drenched, neon-lit city.
Ooh, sounds atmospheric.
Picture this. A lone figure, metal gleaming under the moonlight, walks the streets. You could almost feel the tension, right? This is no ordinary night.
Okay, I'm hooked already. What's going down?
This is the night a war begins.
That war! Now, I'm really intrigued. What kind of war are we talking about here?
Well, tonight's story features a warrior unlike any you've encountered before.
Okay, lay it on me.
A vampire known as the Ashen Knight.
A vampire. Okay, I'm listening, but Ashen Knight doesn't exactly scream classic bloodsucker. What's his deal?
He's no ordinary vampire. This one is burdened by centuries of tyranny, haunted by the countless lives he's taken. The Ashen Knight is desperate for redemption.
A vampire seeking redemption. Now that's a twist. It makes you wonder, is true redemption even possible for someone who has inflicted so much suffering? I mean, could you ever truly make amends for centuries of darkness?
That's the question hanging over his every move. And get this, he carries a rather unique weapon, a sword forged from the ashes of his victims.
Wait, hold on. A sword made from ashes? How is that even possible? My scientific mind is struggling with this one.
It's a wild concept, a blend of fantasy and maybe some lost technology, but legend has it that this ash-forged blade is incredibly powerful, maybe even supernatural.
Supernatural swords.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm intrigued, but I'm going to need some more details. I'm imagining maybe some kind of advanced nanotechnology, some way to bind the ash particles together into a super strong lightweight material, almost like how we create carbon nanotubes today, but on a whole other level.
Whatever the science behind it, the Ashen Knight is driven by prophecy.
Okay, prophecy. Ooh, this is getting good.
A dark god is rising from the abyss, threatening to consume the world in shadow and fire. Villages are burning, the skies are choked with smoke, and the fate of humanity hangs in the balance. The Ashen Knight might be their last desperate hope. Okay, so we've got a former instrument of darkness now tasked with saving humanity, classic redemption arc, but with a supernatural twist. I'm curious about this dark god, though. Is it a deity in the traditional sense, or are we talking about something else entirely? A being with such advanced technology that it appears godlike?
That's a great question, and it's something the Ashen Knight has to grapple with as well. And the god's lair isn't some celestial paradise or heavenly realm. Imagine this a forgotten battlefield where fallen warriors are reanimated as an undead legion.
Okay, now that's both fascinating and terrifying. The idea of reanimating the dead raises so many questions. What kind of technology could achieve that? Are we talking advanced necromancy or manipulation of bioelectric fields?
The story keeps the specifics shrouded in mystery. But one thing is clear. This is no ordinary graveyard. As the Ashen Knight prepares to face this god, a young child approaches him, offering a simple gift, a wooden stake.
Hold on, a wooden stake. Isn't that a bit cliche, even for a vampire story?
It might seem that way, but in this world where ancient lore clashes with futuristic tech, even the simplest act can hold profound meaning.
You're right. It's a symbol of faith from a human toward a creature often feared and hated. It makes you wonder, could a robot, a being of pure logic and programming, truly understand such a gesture? Could they grasp the complexities of human emotions like faith?
That's a question that goes to the heart of what it means to be human, doesn't it? But back to the story, the stage is set for an epic battle. The Ashen Knight, armed with his ash-forged blade and a child's wooden stake, versus a dark god commanding an army of the undead. It's a clash of unimaginable proportions.
This is epic. Let's break it down for a second. We have a being with potentially godlike powers against a lone vampire. We talked about his sword, but what other tools or advantages could he possibly have?
Well, we know his armor is incredibly tough, maybe enhanced by some lost technology.
Yeah.
And his sword, however, is made clearly packs a punch, but against a god.
It just seems like an impossible fight. I mean, energy shields, advanced weaponry. What could he possibly hope to achieve?
And that's where the story takes its most surprising turn. As the battle rages, the Ashen Knight makes a desperate gamble. He takes the wooden stake, the symbol of his past sins, and turns it on himself.
He stakes himself. Wow, I did not see that coming. But what's the strategy there? What could a stake possibly do against a god?
It's not about directly fighting the god. It's about self-sacrifice. A final act of atonement to try and tip the scales.
Ah, I see. A desperate attempt to disrupt the god's power, or maybe even unleash some unknown energy. Fascinating. But could a robot, a being programmed with logic and algorithms, ever be driven to such selflessness? Would it even comprehend the concept of self-sacrifice for a greater good?
That's a question philosophers and scientists will be debating for centuries, I'm sure. But in this moment, the Ashen Knight's sacrifice has a profound impact. The world explodes in a blinding flash of light and pain. We don't know if the god is truly defeated, but the shadows retreat, the storm clouds part, and the child who gave him the stake looks on in awe.
Oh, what a powerful image. To witness such an act of self-sacrifice, especially from a creature she once feared, would completely redefine her understanding of good and evil. But could a robot ever truly grasp the weight of such an act? Could it understand the nuances of faith, sacrifice, and redemption that drive this story?
These are the questions that linger as we delve deeper into this epic clash between robots and vampires.
I mean, it really makes you think, doesn't it? This whole blend of ancient lore and futuristic tech. It's like looking in a funhouse mirror, where everything's familiar but also kind of twisted.
Right, and that's what makes these stories so interesting. I think taking these fantastical elements like vampires and dark gods and swords made out of ashes, and then trying to ground them in some kind of logic, some scientific possibility.
Yeah, like asking, what if? What if vampires were real? What if tech could give us these supernatural powers? And then what happens when those two worlds collide?
And that's what we do here on Robots vs. Vampires, right? We take these wild tales, we dissect them, we search for those threads of truth, those hints of scientific plausibility.
Because let's be honest, sometimes truth is stranger than fiction, right? There's so much out there that science hasn't figured out yet. Who knows what's really possible?
Absolutely. And this story with the Ashen Knight really gives us a lot to think about. We've got this vampire yearning for redemption, which flips our whole idea of good and evil on its head. Can a being that's capable of so much darkness truly find the light?
It raises a lot of questions about vampires in general, too. How does he survive? What are his limits? Does being a vampire affect his choices, his actions? Can he ever really escape his thirst for blood?
Then we've got this mysterious dark god. Is it a being from another dimension or just someone with crazy advanced tech that makes him seem like a god?
And don't forget that army of the undead. Reanimating the dead, it's both fascinating and terrifying. Could it ever actually happen? What would the science behind that even look like? And what about the ethical side of things?
That's like a rabbit hole of questions, and that's what I love about these stories. They make us think outside the box, challenge our assumptions, and see the world from a whole new perspective.
And you never know, maybe someday some of this fantastical stuff will become reality. I mean, look how far we've come technology-wise just in the last few decades.
Right. If you told someone 100 years ago we'd have self-driving cars and robots on Mars, they'd think you were nuts.
Exactly. So what do you think are the key takeaways from the Ashen Knight story so far? What should our listeners be thinking about?
For me, it's about looking deeper than the surface, questioning those simple ideas of good and evil, and considering the possibility of redemption even in the darkest of hearts. Things aren't always what they seem.
Well said. And hey, listeners, if you're enjoying this deep dive into robots vs. vampires, don't forget to rate and follow the show. It really helps others find us and join the conversation.
Yeah, and share your thoughts with us on social media, too. We love hearing your theories and ideas.
We've covered a lot of ground today, but we've really only scratched the surface of this battle between robots and vampires.
There's so much more to explore, so many stories yet to be told.
So join us next time as we venture even deeper into this world where robots and vampires collide.
Until then, keep those imaginations fired up.
And remember, in a world of endless possibilities, anything is possible.
Goodbye for now, and thanks for listening.
See you next time on Robots vs. Vampires. We keep coming back to this idea of the line between science fiction and fantasy, and it really makes you think.
Yeah, where does one end and the other begin? Like with the Ashen Knight sword.
Right. We talked about nanotechnology and all that, but what if there's something more to it?
You're thinking about the magic angle? The
Yeah.
supernatural element?
Exactly. What if it's not just science, but something beyond our understanding? The story leaves it open to interpretation, which I kind of like. It lets us fill in the blanks.
Makes you think about all those stories about magical swords throughout history.
Right. It's like science and magic are all tangled up together, just out of reach.
And then there's this whole question of a vampire seeking redemption that really challenges how we usually see vampires.
Totally. I mean, can someone who's done such terrible things really change? Is it a choice? Or is it something biological, something they can't control?
It's like the age-old question, are we born good or evil? Are we just products of our biology, or do we have free will?
Deep stuff, right? Maybe the Ashen Knight represents that struggle that we all have, that battle between our dark side and our desire to be better.
And then there's that moment with the child and the wooden stake. It's such a small gesture, but it feels so significant.
Totally. It's like even in the darkest times, there's still hope. And that hope can come from the most unexpected places.
And that belief in something better, that's what can really make a difference. It can give us the strength to fight for what's right, even when it seems impossible.
Just like the Ashen Knight, we all have the potential for good and bad. It's about choosing which path to follow.
So as we wrap up this deep dive into the world of the Ashen Knight, what's the one thing you hope our listeners take away from it?
I think it's a reminder that no matter how advanced technology gets or how strange and fantastical the world becomes, the human spirit is still at the heart of it all. There's always that potential for love, hope, and redemption, and sometimes the biggest battles we face are the ones within ourselves.
Well said. Couldn't have put it better myself. And to all our listeners out there, if you enjoyed this journey into the world of robots and vampires, be sure to subscribe, rate, and review the show. It really helps us out.
And join the conversation on social media, too. Tell us your thoughts, your theories. We love hearing from you.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those imaginations running wild.
And remember, in a world of endless possibilities, anything is possible.
Thanks for listening to Robots vs. Vampires. We'll catch you next time.
See ya!